Lagos State, we need 523 million gallons per day. So what we have now is just able to serve about 5.8 million people of Lagos State, which is about 28%. To meet this gap, we need another 72% to add to it. There's a demand gap of 330 million gallons per day. A major challenge challenges, please, next slide. Now, we have limitations, networks are deeply, various stages of deterioration. You can imagine since 1910, some of these facilities have been since 1910. And with the kind of maintenance culture that we've seen over time, a lot of them are actually quite obsolete. The equipment, the technology. You mentioned the issue of high accountability. You see burst pipes all along the way. So when I talk about wastewater, you'll see the challenge that we have with even the kind of diseases that we have, because most of the distribution pipelines pass through the drains. And the drains in Lagos are actually a conveyor in a conveyance system for wastewater. Because when it is all raining, you see the drain filled with filthy water. So you cannot imagine passing potable pipe water through the drain. That is the major challenge that faces the water sector. Now, we have, as it should be, because I think as of today, we're still paying like, is it 5 naira per liter per day? I don't know how, but the figures are quite abysmally within the plants. And next slide. This is a picture of going at the O2 project. Now, whatever clean water is water. But fortunately, over time, the pale latrine system of wastewater in Lagos State in the early 1900s moved from tenements. A sizable stretch of sewer networks was provided as far back as the days of the colonial masters, in Lagos Island, to convey sewage from the European quarters to the Lagos Lagoon. In 1986, our views on septic tank for a mega city are quite diverse. But I'll leave that to the more professional people here to determine how fit for purpose a septic tank system is for Lagos, so what we should do about it. I leave this conference. Between 1982 and 1986, Lagos State had a stint at being more contemporary. 5 treatment plants wastewater treatment plants were constructed at 5 of the low-cost housing estates. Poor estates and Abeson, Okeafa. 1910 and 1990 being the first time a functional attention was being given to wastewater when water had started since 1910. But because normally it should go hand in hand effectively. Now, we have an office like the Wastewater Corporation for water and wastewater management office for the wastewater management. The adequate attention, trying to boost this sector very well because of the peculiarity of Lagos. You can imagine using septic tank in areas with strata to filter the wastewater. But when you have water table at about 1 meter, 1.5 meters, what are we filtering? We're just dumping wastewater right into the groundwater at the shallow level. That's why in areas that have this high water table area, their groundwater abstraction is always very challenging. They did for a 5-year intervention, but this was challenged along the way. A midstream assessment of the failures of this roadmap. It was non-implementable wastewater component of the master plan. Component of those master plans are not implementable. Why? Most of the lands allocated for wastewater plants are actually in the water. They are not accessible, they're in the swamp, making the constructions quite expensive. Secondly, provide infrastructure in a sprawled city. So the cost of sewer network is quite enormous. But if it had been drawn concurrently with the water pipeline spaces to put the wastewater pipelines. Now, lastly, you need to still go and evacuate the sludge in the septic tank. Where do we dispose them? It's on this. So these are some challenges we have water to compete and adequately from the ground aquifers. Wastewater was not quite adequate. People needed to be encouraged to come and invest in the sector. Water is not a sector that they want to start making profit. So there is a need for a viability gap funding that will aid the investor to say, yes, I want to invest, and over time I'll break even. But at least the environment, when you look at the cost of pollution to the environment, vis-a-vis the funding wastewater sector, let's assume Lagos is 24 million people. On the average, let's assume per capita we're using maybe 100 liters or 120 liters per capita. That means we're having maybe like 2.4 billion liters per day, every day, into the ground, into the surface. Like I said, the drains are basically filled with wastewater. That's why you see enough, well, some pictures of the old plants that were done in the 80s. We've not been able to add, and the mega plant supposed to be to serve a catchment of Maryland, Anthony, and Ojota. But unfortunately today, we are still hoping we'll be able to continue with that plant. But septic management is key because at the moment we still have rickety trucks used for the evacuation. You'll see them on the street. The discharge points are directly. That is the picture that is there. So that's what I'm here to show, to actually pictures. Just go to the pictures. That will speak a lot to what I've said. Leg of the sector is the Water Regulatory Commission. This commission was created by a law of 2004, section 4 is fit for purpose. The policy there is to ensure, that's why she's the one, they're the ones organizing today, and we're hopeful that at the end of this session today and subsequent conferences, we'll be able to move Lagos forward.
Next, we'll go on to take a presentation titled, that will be done by a program specialist at UNESCO WAWAC, Dr. Alex. He's joining us virtually.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for the kind invitation, presentation to share with it. Can you let me know if you can see it? Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the State of Timely. I'm here to discuss a little bit with you an opportunity.
Can't see you yet.
Can you see my presentation?
No, no, no.
Okay. How can you see me?
Console. It will come onto the main display unit in a very short while.
Is facing, right? Not only for potable water services, but also for wastewater treatment and services. And of course, with all this, we know pretty well that we cannot solve all of our problems alone. We need partnerships. And the partnerships need not need to be honest. Can you see my presentation right now? Should I go ahead?
Yes, we can see your presentation. Go on.
Water and climate. I'm going to fly through the global challenges. Our previous speaker of what happened to Cape Town, almost to day zero recently. Before that, it was Sao Paulo and Chennai. That in the near future, the extent of both floods and droughts will increase, both in and the urbanization patterns. So I'm not going to bother with telling you more about what you have already heard. What I want to stress is that we see are important. In mega cities like Lagos, you have most of the production of this to be consumed. So, and at some point, the governance mechanisms are similar to that of states. So we need to start focusing on mega cities. Not the population growth, total water demand is growing, not only for potable water, but also for food and industrial goods. And we know pretty well that agriculture is our main client when we talk about water. It's not actually demand can double up the available water for municipalities. We have to keep in mind that we need to see how we synergize, and I will explain more at the end of my presentation. people without safe water management and more than 4.5 billion people without safely managed sanitation. The Intergovernmental Hydrological Program of UNESCO has brought, which is the only definition also approved by member states. So we're talking enough water for everyone, but also of good quality, not only to sustain human lives and ecosystem health, but the protection of life and property against water-related hazards. So we have definition of water security. The way that UNESCO is dealing with water security is through three axes. We mobilize international cooperation to do the most. We strengthen the science policy interface, like today's meeting. This is an excellent example where we can bring in scientific solutions, engineering solutions to policymakers. We can listen to them, understand better what are the challenges that they're facing with their constituencies, and then develop new ones. And last but not least, we heard from our human capital to continue with the business. Now, why cities? Like with groups, we need finance and a lot of information. As a result, we have a lot of negative results. We have a lot of solid waste, and we have some positive things coming out, like manufactured goods. We have a lot of wealth, the GDP of countries coming out from them. And we have a lot of great ideas that are coming out. So this is why we should start paying attention more to our cities. Basically an opportunity to establish an international collaboration platform for the mega cities around the world. What we aim to do is to strengthen the mega cities' capacity to implement global standards and agreement, like the Sustainable Development Goals, that is basically a paradigm shift in urban water management and climate change adaptation. Our proposal is to bring together at least 4 stakeholders, and I'm talking about at least because this is a proposal that's being discussed currently. As we cannot get access to finance, etc. We need then the scientific solutions at the level of the operator and utility, which is the river basin. So anything that you want to manage, it has to key stakeholders within the alliance. So the idea is that within the megacity, but with megacities from one place to another. So you could have, let's say, academics utility in Brazil, as we heard before, or a river basin authority in Europe. It all depends. Whoever has the knowledge can transfer it. So this whole thing started in 2015. During COP21, set up a task force to prepare the conditions for this cooperation platform. Further, this publication in Habitat 3 in Quito, where it gives you a little bit of a snapshot of common problems and challenges that these megacities have and how they're dealing with it, to adapt them and use them as we want. And we have some action on the ground too, within the Megacities Alliance for Water and Climate. For example, the Greater Authority for Wastewater Treatment in Paris is working and helping issues that they have too. So we have some on-the-ground projects that are already taking place within the framework of the Alliance. But the work that joins basically a business alliance for water and climate, the Global Clean Water Desalination Alliance and the Paris Pact Alliance, which of the other alliances within its own. So when it comes to the nation issues too, especially for coastal megacities, and because of the involvement of UNESCO, for example, we have the UNESCO create, we have the International Coalition, we have furthermore the media and information literacy programs within UNESCO. We mentioned that we are active on different fora. The climate, as we know, most of the addressing the water challenges. Based on regional platforms in a global platform, Alliance for Water and Climate chapter in Latin America and Caribbean, chapter with their own terms of reference and plan of action, and in September this year, and one for Europe and North America in July 2022 from 11 to 14 in Paris during the SAGE and experiences within these regional chapters. As I said, participating mega cities. In our second meeting, we had all 7 of them. As we said, we had the meeting in May, in June, and we're aiming to have now, to launch in the January will be done. We have sent consulting now with all these mega cities to have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alexander. Can we put our hands together for him? I've not been able to get an answer to it. I probably would get one today. Was blessed or lucky? Blessed with a lot of beautiful things, and then we're lucky when it comes to management. And Lagos sneezes, other states catches cold and things. And this is part of the effort of the state government under the themes agenda. The man saddled with the responsibility of making Lagos of iconic leadership. Please join me as I invite the governor of Lagos State. I'm sure he deserves a better round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. The chairman, House Committee on the Parastatals and Agency. That's what is written here. Honorable Desmond Olushola Elliott, I think Mr. Tayo Ayinde, members of the State Executive, the Special Advisor on Drainage and Water Resources, Engineer Joe Igbokwe. Of course, him who is ably represented here. Members, Body of the Service and Water Resources, Engineer Nuruddin Shodainde, and then the Permanent Secretary, Office of Environment Services, Mrs. Ben. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Abayomi Fini and Cardinal James Odumbaku. Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission, Mrs. Funke Adepoju. We just have a new head of ministerial agencies that are here. I've seen the GM of LASEPA. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Very much for a very powerful presentation. Director, Water Development and Sanitation Department, African Development Bank, Mr. and Water Resources Sector, corporate sponsors and development partners, participants, gentlemen. Thank you very much and good afternoon. That were raised by Dr. Mohawi. So a lot of what you call political interference or political guidance happened. So Water Corporation, for example, they were left alone. The truth is, before you know it, pensions were being owed. So when pension, you realize at the end, 10 years' time, you have a lot of problems. The truth. So the question is, maybe we could have interfered. Maybe it would have been bettered. I run the Ministry of Works before, so I know is that, unfortunately, but a lot of the things that his ministry are doing, he didn't tell us. So I will tell you. So in terms of the aging infrastructure, so what we do in Lagos, like you said, it's expensive. As politicians, politically, we also don't help. Free water, free this, free that. Where somebody must pay for it. It might be free to one person, water infrastructure. So that's why, in a state like Lagos, World Bank will say, services have to pay compensation. So we haven't even started the road, but we've spent 600. Is that in some areas, citizens deliberately break it to get water. So we need to El Swidi. El Swidi is an Egyptian company that we brought to Lagos about 12 years ago. But we are doing a lot of, so my speech is not to respond to everything that you said, but just to let us understand active employment as needed. So for example, we about 4 or 5 months ago, we employed 30, no, I can't recall the number, maybe about 55 of them. Ministry of Agric is the ministry tell us and justify to their colleagues. As we need, we do what we have to do. Thank you very much. So now I can now go to my repositioning water governance and regulatory dispensation in Lagos State. Trajectory, coronavirus pandemic practices. To an international opportunities in nexus between a large access conference, water demand, and supply in the state. Lagos State Water Supply Master Plan estimates daily water demand 120 million gallons per day. This shows a clear deficit in and save water. As a government, we are not oblivious. Council, led by Mr. Governor, toured the Lagos State Water Corporation facilities at Adiyan, Iju, 2, which will bring in another 70 million gallons, is working at it will become operational. But that is just the production part. It is a huge expenditure team to sign a memorandum of understanding, easy to manage the Atlantic. Than reticulation. So there, I think it's about 8 kilometers to make sure that we pay compensation to all affected Naira. That is piping and the rest of sustainable safe water. And as you know, we have also signed a 3 capacity building for improved regulation and expansion of clean water access. Borehole is 51%, whatever percentage it might be, 2 meters below sea level. Taken from the aquifer unmanaged means that our city can sink as long as we all take water in an unmanaged way. So it is important that we expenditure that it attracts. However, the challenge and how to maximize the investment opportunity in the water sector, which is why this water being of our people, to make the water sector economic. In some states, Louisiana, for example, in the United States, and health bill actually given the competing needs of our people, improving their quality of life, while gratifying to note that the participants at this year's conference are consummate water experts who know water sector. I'm confident that just like the 2020 water conference, even as we intensify efforts to institutionalize water regulation across the state, particularly the water, sanitation, however pertinent, to keep having these crucial discussions and conversations. Some people now say we are a hyper city. But when you are more than 20, of course, the most populated city in Nigeria, of over 22 million people, there is no better time than entered with huge returns on smart investments. As you know, implementation of some of our key deliverables for these pivotal sectors. With the Sustainable Development Goal 6 as water service oversight, all these are being done to improve Lagosians' productivity and quality of life. Through the Lagos, which is a major contributor to lower aquifer flooding, soil water, we should be commissioning a testing and referencing laboratory, which will be useful in preventing waterborne disease, to adopt leading technology in community-based off-grid water supply, the economics of water management, regulation, and help to chart a new urge all the participants to hold nothing back in sharing their experience as the world recovers from the pandemic. I strongly believe we transform salted water as well as raindrops into safe, and the Ministry of Environment and the Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission to expand Lagos access to clean water, I'm sure, being worthy partners in our drive to make Lagos this. As you are talking, I actually call Mr. Aliko Dangote, His Grace, so that you can talk to him. Ladies,
Cerebral Deputy Governor, thank you very much. The able and capable Deputy, Dr. Kadri, we are gradually drawing to a close. Special Advisor to Mr. Governor on Drainage and Water.
Good afternoon, Deputy Governor, Lagos State, Dr. Bafemi, Dr. Feni, Lagos State House of Assembly members present here, Commissioner of Environment, all praises beatment of the Water Supplies Sanitation, the Supervising Ministry for the Water Sonwolu, for his belief and gracing the event, the environment, and making it a capacity-driven scholar in the finest tradition. We appreciate all the water resources to Njibelo and all the esteemed members of this permanent secretaries that are seated here for the APC members, esteemed special guests, too numerous to mention here, consummate and professional water experts that we have. Muhawe, Ross of UNESCO, Mrs. Evelyn Mere, International Development. Dr. Nijani, who is based in South Africa. Now, the global statistics of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his double deputy, I'm in the Ministry of Environment and Office of the Water Resources, and I'm aware of destinations. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
That draws the curtain on invite. We'll have a photograph session. May I request Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, the Chairman House Committee on Environment, and Cardinal James Odumbaku, for join them. The Chief of please. Let me now invite ESCO members to join. Mr. Governor, ably represented by his deputy. Can we take 2 lines? PAMSEC. Yes, sir. Let me also welcome Chairman of TESCOM, Mrs. Elizabeth Ar. Let me quickly call all the speakers, because this is a workers. Please quickly, so that you have a photograph session with the deputy. Sir. 8 people. Thank you very much. Their leave. Thank you very much, sir.
Break, and we're going to have it in 3 parts. The VIP and the executive members will go to the boardroom, which is the next room. They still do it. Also, for their tea break, and those groups who will be participating in water supply and sanitation should please stay in the hall here. Once again, I'd like to the boardroom for their tea break. The groups that will be participating in sanitation stays here. Tea break is for 15 minutes. That will go.
Yes, but I
Talk
don't know
about
when.
Sheton or Amalo. It's supposed, yes, the speakers and those that are going to be participating. They go to the upper room. All right. Okay, I wanted to find out.
5 minutes. Between the 5 minutes now. No more.
Yes, can pull.
gbóná omi tọmọ bá ń dàgbà omi ló máa lò. Nothing without water. Kò sóhun tó ta o.